Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Pints and Perspectives, a podcast hosted by WellHouse Church, where we believe that there's a plethora of theological perspectives and plenty of beer to go around.
Well, that was a really long week break.
It was. We went what? We ended up going
More than one.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Hey, welcome back to Pints and Perspectives. It is a new year. It is a new us. Same old us.
Same old us. Same old us. With some changes, though. There are some changes.
It's a new year, new podcasts.
New thoughts, new objectives, new goals.
Yeah.
New all the things.
Do you want to say more about that, or are we diving in?
We will in the why part, but we got to talk about beer first.
Oh, okay. If you are watching on YouTube, which you should be, and if you're not, come through. Because, if you're watching on YouTube and you're a beer snob, you might not be listening to anything I'm saying because you might be freaking out about the beer that's in front of us. This is Pliny the Elder by Russian River Brewing Company. This is a legendary beer, my friend Cullen. It's the most.
Adam has had it before.
I have. I've had it 2 times in my life. The original bottle I still have on a shelf at home. So
unopened or just the empty bottle?
Oh, empty. I drank it.
Okay.
So it's an Imperial IPA. So like you should really drink these things pretty quickly.
Fresh. Yeah.
And
the fresher
so
the better.
You also cannot get this in Texas. It's not distributed here. It's from a
California.
brewery in California called Russian River. And if you're into sours, Russian River Brewing has the best sours I've ever had in my entire life.
I love stone fruit sours.
The problem is you have to actually go to California to have all these beers. Let's see. It's an Imperial IPA. It's ranked number 3. It has a world-class score of 100.
Oh, my God.
So that's perfection.
Yeah.
Let's see. It is... I'm trying to, is there anything else that's important about this?
Do they make a limited number of them per year, I guess? Is it capped? Like they only make so many cases?
I really don't know why it's so rare and why it's so celebrated. I mean... it's brewed with Amarillo, Centennial, Sitz, and Simcoe hops. So those are pretty standard hops, like a California.
Centennial is like a big West Coast.
Yeah, West Coast IPA, right? It is well balanced with malt, hops, and alcohol. It's 8%. Slightly bitter with a fresh hop aroma of floral, citrus, and pine. That is so true of this beer. Best enjoyed as fresh as possible.
Yeah.
That's why we make such a limited supply each year. Actual bottling date is printed on each bottle. Of course it is. So
it's right here.
We'll just say bottled on November 8th.
Yeah, pretty fresh.
So a lot of people have never had this beer before, and I have a buddy, Ben Chambers, shout out. He's my beer mentor. He's a mentor in many areas of my life. And so he happened to be at a bar in Northern California that had 2 bottles that were in the cooler. And so he snagged them, and then he just so happened to be needed to get me a Christmas gift. So,
hey, Ben, thank you so much.
My man.
So I do have a question. Like, what would one of these run someone if you found yourself in California, lucky enough to be in a place where one was for sale?
Man, that's such a good question, too. I don't think they're crazy expensive. I think they're like $20-something.
Okay.
Piece. I'm trying to. There is actually a picture of the Pliny's in the.
Yeah, you sent this to me because we were talking about these. They actually have 6 of them.
Oh man, and those are other. So that's a Blind Pig is another one from Russian River. Russian River Brewing is just incredible. I've had a bunch, and they make wine too. So
not outrageously expensive.
$11. They were $11.
Yeah,
each.
More than reasonable for what is this? A pint?
Yep.
Yeah.
You just can't get them. They're just limited, but they do make them annually. So they're out there in the world, but
only in California,
not in Texas. Yeah.
I don't know if it's still your favorite beer. My favorite beer of all time to date that comes out annually is. The 120-minute IPA. Yep.
East Coast IPA.
Yep. It used to only come out in September.
Okay.
Now it comes out in April and September.
It is heaven. We should do one of those. Have you done one of those?
They are a 12. Yeah, I think I've done it a couple of times. But they are a 12 fluid ounce.
Yeah,
And
right.
For a 4-pack, last
Right.
time I think I thought I was getting a steal at like $46
I was
for a
gonna say
4-pack.
50. Yeah.
So $11 for a pint of something that's rare and has 100 world-class score is actually quite a steal of a deal.
Yeah, I mean, it's just about, access.
Yeah.
Like everything else in life.
everything else in life.
So,
All right.
cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Let's open this bottle of Pliny. All right. It's the color's beautiful. So it is an Imperial IPA. So it's just a really boozy, crisp.
It's lighter than I thought it would be.
Yeah. It's a West Coast IPA.
Yeah, but it's
very
like
yellow.
Yeah, I mean, like translucently, almost green yellow.
Here, let me make sure I even this out.
Yeah, thank you, appreciate
Even
it.
out the gold. Got to be equitable in our dispensing. Also, hey, shout out to the Upside Pub here in the hood, in the Goof, as we like to call it, the GOOF. Hung out with them today.
Garden Oaks, Oak Forest.
Yeah, it's the Goof, baby. Shout out. I'm wearing their shirt, the Upside Pub, and it's on that bag too.
Oh yeah.
It's pretty dope.
Oh, it's fun here.
Great little pub. Live in the neighborhood. Great beer. Had a brash Cali Green. So all right, let's see Cullen's first reaction to Pliny the Elder.
It is
Floral.
It's very floral, very citrus, but man, when it highlighted that I was going to get pine,
Yep.
I was suspect, but man, it's there, and I love it.
You haven't even tasted it yet. Pine is on the palate.
Yeah,
That's a Simcoe.
yeah.
It's not like it's just a really well done Imperial IPA. It's real balanced, good malt, good great hops. I wonder what the IBUs are. I wonder if I could find that real quick.
I'm thinking in the 70s to 80s.
Let's see. I don't know. I thought I was on Beer Advocate, but here's Russian River's website.
I don't know. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good guess.
Where did the name come from? No, y'all don't care about all that. Just go to the website.
No.
So availability is pub draft and bottles, local distribution only. Bitterness is high. I don't know. Sorry, I should have done more homework. Is it on the bottle?
No IBUs.
Anyways, if you're a beer nerd and you know why Pliny is such a big deal, comment below or something.
Yeah, I think it's really good. It's the hops really hangs with you, like afterwards. Like how some IPAs are so crisp that
Yes.
when it all dissipates, it all dissipates.
Yep.
The bitterness really hangs around on your palate.
Yeah, it does. It does. It lingers.
It's really like the viscosity of it is very light. It's low.
Yeah, it is.
It moves very freely.
It is.
It doesn't have much body to it.
It is, as Ben says, slammable. Oh, no. Sorry.
Guzzleable?
Crushable.
Yeah.
Crushable. It's crushable.
Yeah, it is. It's a light summer beer. I might really, at the risk of upsetting some people, if you put that alongside
Oh, careful.
a handful of any high quality West Coast style IPA, like take your pick.
Careful.
I think the average person would miss the differences, and the difference is the pine.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. There's all these articles that it revolutionized American IPA making. State of the art for turn of the century IPA craftsmanship. Heavy body, loads of bitterness, maybe a
Yeah, loads of bitterness.
Post-kettle hopping. In some cases, still thinking of Britain, breweries used whole cones in hops, in hop backs. Yeah, they used to actually like put the hops in the thing. Anyways.
They still do that?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just picking out of this article.
All right. I think it's really good. I gotta say, I'm not.
You're not blown away.
I'm not blown away. Certainly not. I definitely think it's good.
Well, then I'll finish it for you.
No. It's the lightness for me. I think I'm more amazed at how much flavor is in it.
Yeah.
With it being so light and crushable. Yeah, that part is interesting. It's a very good beer.
Why is Pint of the Elder so famous? It was an impeccably composed beer that represented a clean break from Britain's style of IPA and harnessed techniques that would become standards in later waves of hoppiness in American brewing. Pliny the Elder was in many ways the first fully realized modern American IPA.
Oh, so it's a historic, a nostalgic. It holds its place in beer history. Yeah. That makes sense because on this side of it, not knowing that, I'm going, this is pretty run of the mill these days.
It's not mind blowing.
Yeah,
in terms of but I will say.
Well, and I might say that there are some mainstream beers that we have accessible to us in Texas.
Oh, Yellow Rose, Lone Pint Yellow Rose.
Yeah, that are every bit as good and if not better.
Yeah.
But being that it specifically, this one pioneered this style of beer, if that is American a true claim, then it is a 100 in my score. And I only score on a scale of 1 to 10.
Okay, so what is your rating?
I think it's like an 8.4. It's a very good it's a very good, light, crushable IPA.
I'm going to give it a 10.
Go ahead.
Just for the hay of it.
Go ahead.
Because I'm not smart enough to know why. But you know what? I feel like I'll go with the crowd on this one. I'm going to give it a 10. 10 out of 10, baby. Broke it.
All right.
Let's talk about some stuff.
Let's talk about why this podcast exists and why you got added on.
Ooh, because I'm handsome.
Story time.
Got to watch on YouTube.
WellHouse Church was founded as this dream that I had, and a handful of other people joined me. When WellHouse launched in September or in August of 2020, yes,
ooh,
I decided
what a time to be alive,
to plant a church in the heart of COVID.
Wow.
But I had just been interim pastoring a congregation that had a median age of like 58, so an older congregation. And I'd just been pastoring them through COVID, and I stayed with them through July.
Yeah.
And then August, I planted WellHouse, and I dreamed WellHouse up in like 10 years ago, started. And I had this idea of doing a network of house churches. Like, I had a lot of complaints that churches spend a lot of money on staff and facilities.
Yep.
Like, the average white evangelical church will use up 75 to some 80% of its money just on its staff and facilities.
Yep, it is the big budget killer. Definitely.
And you hadn't done worship, you hadn't done curriculum, you haven't food to the homeless. Okay, so housing. So we're getting there. You hadn't done the things that churches prioritize predominantly, which is to care for themselves. Right. And that's why the average white evangelical church, or just average Protestant church in America, will only give away single-digit percentages of its money.
Tax the church. We should do an episode on why we should tax the church. I fundamentally disagree with my pastor about taxing the church. Tax the church. Yeah, I still go to church. You heard it here. Anyway, sorry. That was a tangential thought.
Well, so yeah. Well, we can have that conversation. But so I dreamed this up, and basically, long story short, the premise of it was I want to make this place about community, about relationships and people being spiritual people to one another.
Mm-hmm.
And in order for me to do that, when I get people together, I can't give them information. That's not a way that you get spiritual people interacting with spiritual people.
Okay.
Me giving them information.
You got to have communion or something?
Well, no, you got to have community.
Community.
Yeah, you got to have people interacting.
Relationships.
Yeah,
relationships.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And so if I'm going to ask somebody to give up time out of their busy day, I'm certainly not going to ask them to give it to me so that they can listen to me talk. That's dumb.
Wow.
And so
says the podcast host. Hey, look, if you were giving up your time to listen to us right now, we appreciate you, and we're going to come back around to that.
This is why I started these podcasts, is because I still had to have this way of like, okay, the information that pastors share is still valuable. I just don't think the medium or the way to distribute that information should be like the main gathering where you get people together.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, let's do a passive medium like podcasting. And there were 4. Originally, there were 4. And this one was dedicated to the theology conversation.
Woo.
And I wanted it to be something that was like pints and perspectives, that like, hey, there's room at this table for lots and lots of theological perspectives and viewpoints and worldviews.
And beer.
And beer, of course. Well, and that was all. The beer thing was like
edgy Christian.
No, it wasn't really that. Like as much as that.
Seeker friendly.
Nope.
Marketing.
Nope. It was simply, hey, people have really great conversations in pub rooms.
Yeah, well, and around a pint.
Sharing a pint together and just being vulnerable with one another and having conversations.
Definitely.
And listening and conversing with people that view the world differently than you.
Of course, we could have chosen tea or coffee, but that's lame. Pliny the Elder.
I guess, yeah. So, yeah, that's how it all came to be. And so it came to a point where my brother and I, who helped me plant WellHouse.
Bring back Clayton.
We were co-hosting all 4 of these podcasts every week.
Yeah.
And Clayton, when we put him on this one, thinking about what his role would be, what we said was Clayton can be the voice of the audience.
Yeah, sure.
Like asking the appropriate questions, thinking through what the average listener would be thinking through compared to my dumb self rambling off about God knows what.
Amen, brother. Amen.
But for content development and actual like information being delivered, it was beginning to feel cyclical.
Sure,
I was beginning to feel like we were about to start recycling information.
Yeah.
And so I was like, hey, we need to change. And an easy one is, hey, yo, my boy Adam.
Let's throw a wrench in this system.
It was like, hey, he got 2 degrees.
It's like, if it ain't broke, don't. Well, we're still going to put an Adam in it.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't broke.
It wasn't.
Let's break it.
But it was
now I'm the voice of the cynic.
I don't know what you are.
Yeah.
My thought process was, hey, here's my best friend who we have good rapport. Like maybe it'd be
we
good.
talk about this stuff all the time anyways.
Yeah, and we did degrees together, and between the 2 of us, there's 5 of them.
Hey.
On theology. And so it felt like a good one. And so I asked Adam, knowing good and well where he is, but I asked you, and actually I asked you to be a part of WellHouse when WellHouse was beginning.
Boy, you're always trying to hire me.
It's true. I always try to will and do.
Trying to poach me from every place I've ever been.
It's true.
Here I am at the table.
Hey.
Here I am.
It's good salesmanship right there. Okay, so I ask you, and you pick up story.
Yeah. So, first of all, a little backstory on me. I discovered my love of podcast hosting, like every good white millennial male during the pandemic, right?
Yep.
So, I was working for a nonprofit. I still work for a nonprofit, but a different one. And I launched a podcast, and it was very successful, and I loved it. I just The camera loves me. No, I love the camera and the microphone. And it's just a great way to, I think it's a great communication medium. And I listen to a lot of podcasts. I take in tons of information via podcast, various ones on various topics from various production companies and individuals and yada, yada, yada. And so I like this. And so you ask, and so I, RIP to Crafty Chats. Or hiatus or whatever. So I left that job, and so I wasn't able to do that podcast anymore. And then I was doing this show on YouTube with our good friend Samantha, and then were unable to continue that work. So I was looking for a place to get in front of a camera. Anyways, but what I said was, okay, but I have to be like fully transparently myself, and I can just argue with you about stuff.
And what did I say?
You're like, great, that's exactly what I want.
Yep.
Yeah. So hopefully that's been a successful choice. I don't know.
I think so. Well, especially because you hold this strange place where your ethic is unwavering, giving over to Jesus.
Yeah, for sure.
And so in that way, you would vehemently say, I'm Christian.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
But in other ways, which foreshadowing to next week where we do Is Adam a Heretic?
I can't wait for that one. I got a good beer for that one too. Hey, look, there's a special beer that you'll never be able to have.
Never.
In your life on the next episode. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
So
I think I should talk about why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
So one of the things was at some point, like we need to explain why we do this.
Yep.
Because here, just airing a little bit, maybe it's white guilt. I don't know, y'all, but just airing some things that are on my heart and mind. Man, that was such a Christian thing to say. Why? I already hinted at it. Like everybody's got a podcast, right? Like,
yep.
And then and white males talking about theology over beer is like a saturated market AF. Like we are not special here.
Nope.
And so I just want to like make sure to dispel that myth that like, yeah, we know we're not special. I'm not.
This level of self-awareness is so good.
I'm like, it's not so. Okay, here's the deal. So I said yes to this, and it has been so much fun because I love having theological conversations that are honest, transparent, and I know that no matter what we talk about, no matter how much we disagree or argue, it's fine. And maybe that's the beer, right? Like we'll just move on. Next idea. And my deconstruction journey was sparked by and fueled by theological education. The more I studied, the more I learned, the more I deconstructed. You know, there is this thing where they say like seminary is really just a cemetery, and I guess it was because when you start to actually read text in its original language and you actually start to read real scholars who have been doing this work for, generations of building upon generations, building upon centuries, like you learn some things and your view of things is no longer just that system that was handed to you as a child. Yeah.
Well, and the breadth and the variety of those perspectives that you are forced to get exposed to in theological education, if nothing else, because of the historical theological development aspect.
Sure.
I mean, we have to remember that we, as Americans, are the newcomers to the table of spirituality.
Right, exactly.
Unless you're going to go back to Native Americans.
Right.
We are the newcomers.
Right.
This all and the development of it, we are the new world.
Yeah, American Christianity is a new development. It's not some ancient thing.
It's only 300 years old. I mean, they're literally when we came over here colonizing is when it begins.
Yeah, and so you start to read other people and start to see other perspectives, and it's just like Christianity is so much bigger and so much more broad. And so then I'm not going to tell my whole deconstruction story because that's not the point of this. But
you can find a version of that on one of our other podcasts, early episode.
Yeah.
Let's talk.
That's right. Yeah. That's good. Almost like 2 years ago, I think.
It would have been like September 2020.
Yeah, that's crazy. So here's the deal. So like, I don't do this podcast because I think and I'll just speak for myself. You can speak for yourself. But I didn't say yes to Cullen. I didn't say yes to this, and I don't consistently do this because I think that the world needs to hear my opinion on the dead horses of theological debate. Like everybody, like we're going to do a series on the problem of evil. That privileged white males have been arguing about the problem of evil for centuries and have published in the mediums most effective in their day for centuries. The world does not need more of this. That is not why I am here. That is not what this is for me. But what it is giving voice to when my whole faith was coming apart and everything I thought and believed was like falling apart at the seams, and I was losing relationships, and I was walking away from the church, and I thought I would never return to a church again. I thought I would never be a Christian again. Like I was just throwing all of it off. All I wanted to hear was that from somebody that I wasn't crazy, that the conclusions I had come to through my deconstruction process didn't mean that I was insane and going to burn in hell forever. I just needed somebody who understood where I was, who understood me, who could empathize with me and go, bro, you're in process. I've been there. Just, it's okay. It's going to be okay. And that question you're asking is totally valid. And here's a book on it. And here's how I wrestled through it. So that's why I'm doing this, is because I believe this Sam, this is not for our friend Sam. She knows this. I was with her today. I should have told her I was going to use her as an example. Everyone is not our audience.
Yeah.
But maybe there are some of you out there who are wrestling with the complexities of theology, the theology you were formed in and handed, and the theology you hold now or lack thereof. And maybe you just need to hear somebody say, yeah, the Bible's whack and you're not crazy.
Yeah.
That's what I needed. So here I am trying to step into that place for others who might need what I felt like I needed.
Yeah.
And if this is not for you, if the last thing you want to do is watch two white guys drink beer and talk theology, bye. Much love. There are better podcasts. I could recommend some. Strict Scrutiny. It's nothing but liberal women talking about the Supreme Court on a weekly basis. Go watch them. It's the polar opposite of whatever this is.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe you have a problem with the problem of evil too. And maybe you've been hurt by the church. And maybe every Christian leader in your life not every. Maybe a lot of the leaders in your life started worshiping Donald Trump instead of Jesus too. Mm. I feel you. Let's wrestle together. Mm. Also, I want to say one more thing. Or do you want to reflect on that? And then I have one other soapbox I want to share about why I still call myself a Christian. But anyways.
Yeah.
I talked for a long time.
I think I would second a lot of things that you said. I think for me, for anybody that is looking for like my credentials, I have 3 degrees in this, and those degrees could take me a lot of different directions. And when people refer to me, I correct them. If they call me a theologian, I correct them. To be fair, everyone's a theologian.
Everybody.
If I tell you that Jesus is a 3rd century Roman woman and you say bullshit, you are a theologian because you have made a comment about God. You have made a determination, a statement about God. You have
entered into a theological debate on the nature of Jesus.
That makes you a theologian.
Right, that's right.
So everyone's a theologian in that way. But when we talk about academic theologians, I correct people. I am not.
Yeah.
I am a homiletician. I am a communicator of spiritual truths.
Yeah.
And so I do this because of that. I think because of my degrees and the training that I've had, I have a very unique understanding of very, very complex theological issues and a wealth of knowledge of the history and the debate of those issues.
Yeah.
And I have this unique nerd desire to be the best communicator and storyteller that I can dream of being and work to be. And so I think it makes this nice place where hopefully I'm communicating some things and making space for some people that didn't feel like they had voice or space for them.
Yeah.
Leading into the deconstruction conversation. I think that is a place where I try to exist as well, as like, hey, here's this white dude that grew up super conservative, and is now super progressive for all the things that means, and that it's okay. You can still love Jesus and be that person.
Yeah, that's true.
You can still have a great love for the Bible. This is the thing that pisses me off. If I'm gonna get on my soapbox for a second, then we'll let you get your
go for it.
The thing that pisses me off is when people say, "Oh, you go left, you abandon the Bible."
I did.
You can. I didn't.
But you don't have to.
You don't have to.
No, that's fair.
I
know lots of people who are like you, who still hold a very high regard for, and the Bible still holds a place of authority in their life.
I went through deconstruction for as long as I did in the beginning, like the hard part where it's like you're battling between whether or not you're agnostic or you're at some kind of weird place. I was in that place for so long because I was trying to save the Bible. You
were trying to justify it?
I was trying to save it for my own faith.
Got it.
My training, my theological academic training, I was like, screw that thing. It's terrible. It has so many contradictions. There's so many textual variants. Like, that thing is not reliable at all.
That's true.
And my faith was going, that certainly can't be true. That certainly cannot be the truth of it. And I spent so much time in that am I an agnostic, am I a Christian phase of deconstruction because I needed to save the Bible.
So do you feel like you were successful?
I think I have a greater love and appreciation for the Bible today than I ever have in my life.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I would say the exact opposite.
Well, so I think that's different because you were happy to give it up.
No, I mean, at a certain point, I became happy to give it up. I fought for years.
Yeah.
I mean, most of my academic most of what motivated me to put all those years and write all those tens of thousands of pages and to read all those books, those hundreds and hundreds of books, was because I was trying to... I think deep down inside, the truth was I was trying to answer the unanswerable questions, and I was trying to defend a text that in my head I thought was full of contradictions and illogical. But I kept doing the work to try to overcome that, and I kept making the arguments that it was real and that it was these things.
Yeah. So for me,
that was me.
It's very real, but. Having a love and appreciation for the Bible also means taking the Bible for what it is and stop projecting onto it our modern understandings of what it should be.
Absolutely.
It's a very ancient book that has rudimentary information and scientific development thousands of years ago. Yeah. It's been edited across thousands of years by multiple iterations of the same culture of people.
Yeah, it's wild.
And the New Testament is an entire different cultural realization than the Old Testament. Yeah. I mean, most of them are written by Hebrews, by Jews.
But there's hundreds and hundreds of years apart.
So there's hundreds and hundreds of years apart.
There's a lot of evolution there.
But also, they're Hellenized.
Yeah, right.
They're writing in Greek.
The world is different.
Yeah, the world is different. The worldview is different. Sure. Jesus is jumping on scene and changing things, and then we have these people that are writing letters, which is a new concept.
Yeah.
to the Bible.
Well, writing.
Think about the Old Testament, Adam.
No,
you got any letters?
I was gonna say, well, like writing on paper was a new concept
Yeah.
compared to the original text of the Old Testament. They were just oral tradition.
Yeah, and well, in the way that writing comes together, right?
Technology,
it's very different than how we write now, right? Nobody in the ancient world sitting down at a desk in a room with 4 walls where they're undisturbed to write. You know why? Because that means it's dark. The ancient world doesn't have electricity. That's not how writing happened. You know how writing happened? You hired a scribe and you met them in a park.
An amanuensis.
You met them, yeah. An amanuensis.
Dropping them terms.
Boy. Yeah. You hired a scribe or an amanuensis to go out with you, and you were at a park, and you might have a couple of like collaborators where you're thinking it through, and you tell it to them, and then they go, okay, they write it down, and then one of your collaborators goes, oh, say this in their own words. And then the author goes, oh, I like that. Verbatim. Write it down. That act right there is called an interpolation.
Interpolation.
Somebody else other than the author inserted a phrase into their writing.
Yeah.
That is an interpolation, and it is going to look different than the author.
Right.
Their vocabulary, their vernacular. Yeah. This is 1 Corinthians.
Right.
I, Paul, and Sosthenes. Oh, that's a co-author. That's another person. These things happen. If you're in a park, you're reading out loud, right? As people walk by, oh, hey, you should say this. What are you talking about? Have a conversation. Oh, this is how it happened in the ancient world. That alone, combined with the truth that they're writing letters.
Yeah.
It's literally someone's mail. You're reading someone's mail and you only have half the conversation.
Yeah. It's hard.
And then white evangelicalism, because they want prescriptive theology over narrative theology.
Rules. Give me rules.
Chose those.
Yeah.
Over the rest of the text.
Right.
Did you know that in the average evangelical, like low church, evangelical, free church tradition, on any given Sunday in America, 80%, that's like 83 or something, somewhere low 80s, % of the sermons preached will be from 13 letters in the New Testament.
Yeah, we talked about this.
Paul.
It's Paul, of course, yes.
That is why you can't, that's why you struggle with the Bible.
I want to talk about why I still consider myself a Christian.
Let's do it.
I want to set that straight. I get asked often why I still call myself a Christian by Christians and non-Christians alike. And here's why. Because two reasons. Number one, I've been deeply formed by Jesus, the person. Like everything I am has been influenced by this person named Jesus. Historical figure, whatever. A God, whatever. But the ethic, the morality, the story, the choices.
The figure, the tradition, the lore.
Yeah, his words and actions as recorded in the Bible.
Hey. So you don't love the Gospel of Thomas rendition?
Sure, I've read them all.
Lies. You don't love that one. Jesus is not a great character in that one.
Well, maybe there was something to it. Anyways, is Adam a heretic? Tune in next week. So, number one, I just feel like there are many good ways to live your life. I feel like Jesus offers us a very, very compelling way to live a good life. And I'm bought in. Secondly, I own Christianity. Now that's inflammatory. Hold on, wait, let me explain. I got 2 degrees. I pastored for 10 years. I've done Christian nonprofit outreach ministry, prayer ministries. I founded a prayer ministry. I've been Christian upon Christian, just stacks on stacks of Christianity.
Stacks on stacks.
Ordained, baptized at the age of 5, participated in a charismatic movement, ordained in the Baptist church. I've attended every sort of church service you can imagine, read all the books, know all the hymns. I am a Christian, and I will be damned if I let right-wing, conservative, white evangelical political sellouts own Christianity. Hell no, I will not go. Catch me at the church on Sunday.
Thanks for listening to the Pints and Perspectives podcast hosted by WellHouse Church. Be sure to give us a rating and a review if you enjoyed the episode. It's free and it helps us immensely. Also, feel free to check out our other podcasts.